I analyzed 50 different company value statements. 47 of them were useless, but here's what the 3 good ones did differently. So over the last few years, I've looked at hundreds of company values. Most of them looked exactly the same: innovation, integrity, excellence, teamwork, customer focused. Copy, paste, put it on the website. Nobody knows what it means. Nobody lives it. But for every once in a while, I see values that actually work, values that guide real decisions, that people can recite from memory, that show up in how the team operates. So I did an experiment. I analyzed 50 company value statements from startups to Fortune 500s. And here's what I found. Start with the bad. 47 out of 50 had the same problems. Problem 1, you got your generic buzzwords: innovation, integrity, excellence. I saw these exact words in 38 of the 50 companies, different industries, different sizes, same values. If your values could apply to any company, they're not values, they're just platitudes. Problem number 2, no behavioral definitions. We value teamwork. Cool. What does that look like? Most companies, no answer. Just the word teamwork on a poster. Problem number 3, it ain't lived by leadership. I'd ask employees, does leadership actually live these values? And the most common answer is not really. If leadership doesn't model the values, nobody else will either. Problem number 4, not embedded in systems. So do your values show up in the hiring, in the onboarding, in the performance reviews? Blank stares. The values existed on the website, nowhere else. So the results: high turnover, low engagement, employees who couldn't tell you what the company stands for. And these companies were hoping for good culture. They weren't building it. So the good, but 3 companies did get it right. Let me show you what they did. So example number 1 is a tech startup with 30 employees. And one of their values was default to transparency. So the behavioral definition: information is shared openly unless there's a legal or ethical reason not to. If you're wondering if you should share context, share it. We'd rather over-communicate than leave people guessing. So here's how it showed up. Financials shared monthly with the whole team. Board meeting notes were posted in Slack. Product roadmap was visible to everyone, and salary ranges were published internally. So here's why it worked. You've got specific behavior that you can see. You've got leadership that's modeling it. The CEO is sharing everything, and it's embodied in the operations. Transparency by default. Employees told me I'd never felt more trusted at a company. Let me give you example number 2. This is a SaaS company with 75 employees. Their value: disagree and commit. What? Behavioral definition: we encourage debate and diverse perspectives, but once a decision is made, we fully execute, even if you disagreed. No behind the scenes undermining. This is how it showed up. Leadership meetings had open debate. Decisions were documented with reasoning, and after a decision, everyone aligned publicly. Violating this, even with passive-aggressive resistance, is a performance issue. And here's why it worked. It solved a real problem, which was the slow decision-making. Everyone made the decision and they went with it. You had a clear behavior. You knew what commitment looks like. And you had accountability. Leadership held people to it. Employees told me decisions are fast here, and once made, we move. Example number 3 was a professional services company with about 50 employees. And their value was, we raised the bar. Here's a behavioral definition: is every hire should raise the average talent level of the team. Every project should be better than the last. We don't settle for good enough when great is possible. Here's how it showed up. Hiring bar was high. They turned down 95% of applicants. The postmortems after every project were, what could we do better? Promotions were only for people who elevated others. Love that. And mediocre work was not tolerated. And here's why it worked. It was aspirational, but it was also behavioral. It guides hiring and project decisions, and it creates a culture of excellence. And employees told me that the bar is high, but that's why the best people stay. Here's what all three of the companies had in common that the other 47 did not. Firstly, their values were behavioral. They weren't aspirational. So they were operational. It wasn't teamwork, but default to transparency. Share context openly. You can see it and you can measure it. Number two, the leadership lived the values. Not just talked about them, actually modeled them. Employees could point to examples. Our CEO does this thing every week. Number three, the values were embedded in systems. Hiring. Does this candidate demonstrate all of our values? In onboarding, here's what the values look like in action. In reviews, how well did you live our values this quarter? The values weren't a poster, they were how the company operated. Number four, values solved real problems. So default to transparency solved the information hoarding issue. Disagree and commit solved the problem of slow decision making. Raise the bar solved the mediocrity creep. The best values aren't generic, they're specific to your company's challenges. So here's number five. There were only 3 to 5 values. This is so incredibly important. Not 10, not 8, just 3 to 5. It's few enough to remember, but it's powerful enough to guide decisions. So the difference between companies with useless values and companies with powerful values, it's intentionality. The bad ones copied what sounded good. The good ones designed values that solved real problems and embedded them into how they operate. Your values should mean something. Not innovation that can mean anything, but ship fast, done beats perfect. That's a value that you can live. If you want help defining operational values that actually work, I run a values workshop where we turn generic buzzwords into a behavioral standard. I'll drop a link into the description where you can reach out about it, or you can comment case study, and I'll send you the analysis. Build something worth being proud of.